I find half of the work, well, maybe not half, but a good chunk of the work is just holding space for people to have those hard conversations. It's a novel enough situation with a third party there that you can bring those surfaces. It's almost like people see this as their chance.
Yeah, and you can be a referee a little bit. Yeah,
exactly,
you're so right.
Exactly.
I got to tell you, I've seen this happen time and time and time again when you're doing process work with teams. Somebody will bring something up and we'll just say something, well, how long has that been happening? And I just had an instance here recently where this person brought up a very serious issue in the company. And we were like, how long have you observed this? How long has this been happening? And she's like, well, I've been here 20 years. Yeah, I guess it's been the full 20 years I've worked here. And you could just see the executives in the back of the room like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like 20 years and she never had an opportunity to bring this up. And I'm like, yeah, because you never gave her space where she could bring it up, where she was comfortable bringing up, where it fit. You didn't have this workshop. Right. And you have to do that. You really do.
You do. And I think that there are just certain archetypes of people who are literally never going to bring it up. Like that's part of it. Yep. It's like, unless 100%. You explicitly,
ask for it.
Ask this specific thing and they're just never going to. And then I also think, unfortunately, there's a whole culture of like, we've just accepted that you don't tell the truth at work. You don't tell the truth about what's going on for you because you don't want to be inconvenient. You don't want to be, that's not what they want to hear.
Yeah.
And there's almost just this, let's just keep things going. It's just easier this way. So we don't tell the truth. But if we told the truth all the time, which, I mean, listen, that's a fantasy world. It's not going to happen. Sure. But I think starting at a place where we're saying like, this is a space, we're walking into this work together.
Yeah.
And this is a space where truth is the most valued piece of what we're doing together. And you are safe to do that, and you are welcome to do that. Yeah. And in fact, if you don't do that, you're not doing your job.
Yeah. I think that's
making that really clear.
It's such a powerful thing. We talk about it, the process fixer, and I think we've even done an episode talking about this concept of unvarnished truth, where we say, look, we will bring truth into your organization, but I am adamant with my people that we don't want to paint the stool. Like if we're bringing a table in, we don't know what your decor is. So all we can do is build the structure and function in the legs and make sure the function is there. You have to form it. You have to put it into the room and say, okay, number one, does this fit? Like, does it fit into the space that I have for it? Yeah, okay. It makes sense. There's a lot of data behind it. You know what? But it would look a lot better if we put our brand on it, if we put our logo on it, if we changed it around a little bit. So we're really big on that, of this concept of giving you the truth unvarnished, because it's important for you to then take it and make it your own. And sometimes with CEOs and executives, it's better to do that. Just say, here's the data. And they look at it. And a great example, we talk about process maps. One of our other techniques that we do is we do calendar audits for companies. We just recently did one where we took everybody's Outlook calendar for 90 days and we analyzed it and we put it on a heat map. Oh, man. And then we show who meets with who, and we put it when we roll them out in these big, huge rolls. And it was really interesting because I immediately pointed out a few things where I was like, interesting. This department always meets with this department and nobody else. This department always meets with legal. And this department never meets with legal. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know the answer to what that means, but it should be a question that you ask. But very quickly, multiple people were like, look, and in some instances, I pointed them out from sort of a negative connotation. I'm like, this could be a risk. And they're like, yeah, but legal's expensive. Maybe we shouldn't have legal in as many. Like they inverted it and said, well, wait a second, maybe there's a lesson to be learned here that's bigger than that. But again, you can't see that until it's laid out on the table and you go, well, wait, 96% of the time, marketing meets with sales. Well, okay, that makes logical sense. Is that too much? Like, should more voices be in that conversation, or should be less voices in the conversation? So it is just about visualizing this. And I think visualization of data is becoming a really big thing. There's a lot of movement around geospatial and three-dimensional looking at data. but we're doing that with written documents. Wouldn't you think you'd do it with an actual freaking map, like a topographical map of your organization that says, here's the peaks and valleys and here's what's happening. And when when rain falls here, it floods the valley. And understanding that, I think, is such a big piece.
Do you find that the employees as well are able to pretty readily understand the data that's visualized in those maps?
They are.
Yeah.
Because it's giving language to what they already know. I think this is one of the things that's super cool. And I write about this in my book, Adapt Agility. The limbic system, which we use way more than we think. I mean, we are animals in the end. The limbic system not only has no power of speech, it is not connected to the language parts of your brain. Meaning that when somebody says, I have an intuition or I have a feeling, or they're just like, I don't know about that person. That's literally their limbic system, their fight, flight, freeze, or fawn system, actually giving them information, but they can't vocalize it. It's not possible for them to vocalize it because there's no connection there in the brain. So many times when you provide that data like that and people can see it, they go, I knew that. I knew that something wasn't right there, but I couldn't say it. So when you make it colors and you make it something that they can see, very quickly, they're able to actually bring that visual is able to connect the language part of their brain to the limbic part of their brain and say, my gut feeling was right. I just didn't know how to say it, but that proves it.
It must be very empowering to be, to just be able to know that, yes, like that they are the experts. They are the ones that know and to show that to their leadership. Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure, that people talk about women's intuition. People talk about intuition in certain things. We've all had situations where we're like, I don't know, but we don't know why. And sometimes that goes away over time. Like our fears are, I talk about this in the book, sometimes you see the person coming over the horizon and you go, well, is that a friend or foe? Well, then you realize they have clubs and they have an angry face. Okay. Or as they get closer, you go, oh no, actually they're bringing me food.
Right.
This is okay. So it's okay for that instinct to initially be one thing and then for it to move in another direction. But you can't do that until you can visualize it. And it's funny, I just went through this process with a company where the CEO told me one thing and then we brought the employees in and we mapped it out. And the CEO was like, I'm in the wrong room, right? Because this can't be my company. And I'm like, oh, brother, this is your company. Yep. And he's like, I'm just shocked that I was that out of touch. And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is the reason you're out of touch is because you aren't physically removing your ass from your seat every day and going out to where the work is done. You're in a boardroom, you're on a plane, you're meeting with clients. You're working on the business, not in the business. And I've been talking a lot about this. And I know that I've gotten some people that are like, well, that flies in the face. I say this, I'm like, look, if you're working on the business, not in the business, that means that you've let the details to somebody else. There's a guy with horns and a tail that like loves to live. Devil's in the details, right? So you've essentially turned over all of that part of your business to someone who doesn't have your best interest in mind. So many times we focus so much on the on that we never actually get into the end. And that's what process is all about. It is about looking at the end strategically. I'm not saying that you have to be in your business every single second of every single day, but you should not be on your business every single second of every single day.
Yeah, you need transparency into what's going on. So that doesn't mean you're working in it, but you need to be able to clearly see. And I think that's often a pain point that people bring to me is like, I just feel like I can't see it. I can't see what's going on. And of course, when you start your business, it's just all hands on deck. Everybody's doing different things and you're just getting it done and you hire good people who can just help you get to where you're going. And that works for a really long time until it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then at some point you do have to let go. And I think it is difficult to know, like, what is the balance? How much do I let go? How much do I trust in that person I put maybe as a second command to take it and run with it? And I don't think that there's a perfect right answer, but bringing in an expert to show you, like, to do that analysis, help you see what is true. What is actually happening in your business. And maybe that's all it is. Maybe it's just being able to come in, I don't know if it's quarterly or 6 months, and just be able to touch it, look at it, adjust, and step back out.
You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Process Fixer, help you see the bigger picture. Derrick Mains is the elixir, cut and waste away like scissor. Woo! Got a problem, he can solve it. He's an expert with the process, so for sure you'll see a profit. Bottom line profit. Analyze the work your people doing every day. Expose the inefficiencies getting in the way. Advise you how to automate, outsource, abbreviate, eliminate, innovate. Now there's more food up on your dinner plate.